that apparently the age verification thing has already come to the US. That, similar to like with the UK and with Australia and what they're doing in the EU. I think in some states it's already come to the US. So let's take a look. Let's see what it is.
In the midst of all of this internet censorship going on, we've got Mississippi entering the fray. NPR. Supreme Court allows Mississippi social media law to go into effect. Check this out.
Okay.
The Supreme Court on Thursday refused to intervene in a lower court decision that affirmed a Mississippi law requiring users to verify their ages before using social media sites like Facebook, Instagram, and Snapchat.
Okay, so this law was already in place. This is not for porn. This is for social media. So yeah, this is not like verifying age for porn stuff. This is for the social media stuff. And apparently, I guess Mississippi actually had a law in place requiring age verification for social media. Yeah, they still want it. And honestly, this I don't disagree with. When it comes to social media, yeah, keep kids off of it. Kids should be off of the social media. Because we have only seen negativity come out of kids being exposed to social media. Everything from their lingo to their attitudes to the stupid fucking challenges to entire social engineering through social media. And it's destroying the lives of kids. So, yeah, I do not disagree with this. I think, yeah, if you're under 18, you shouldn't be allowed on social media. Absolutely. I 100% agree with this.
And yep, the verification is just like you would expect, as we've seen from various countries around the world. They want you to submit identification. The Mississippi law is far broader than a Supreme Court ruling just weeks ago that upheld a Texas law mandating age verification to access websites with adult material. Writing for the court's conservative supermajority in June, Justice Clarence Thomas held that requiring adults to verify their age prior to using these adult sites did not violate the First Amendment's free speech clause because it is important to shield children from this adult material. Yeah.
Okay. Well, with the Texas law required age verification to access porn websites. Yeah, I get it. The one concern that I have, Moose, thank you. The one thing that concerns me regarding both of these laws is not the laws on their face. I don't have an issue with, requiring it for social media to keep kids off of social media and for keeping kids off of porn. Oh my God, Moose, thank you. Thank you. The problem I have is how much of a slippery slope it is, where it goes from, okay, age verification from accessing social media and porn, and the slippery slope that we saw in the UK, where now it's all of a sudden you need to age verify to use Spotify. You need to use age verification to use Wikipedia. Then it starts steamrolling into every time you want to access the website, you have to verify your age, and then it turns into monitoring. And so it's the slippery slope thing that concerns me. And lawmakers 100% will use these kinds of things as a springboard for governmental monitoring of its populace. And that's where my concern is that this can go from protecting the, quote-unquote, protecting the children, which again is bullshit, and whenever everybody in government says it's for the kids, they're full of shit, they're lying their asses off, and go to, we need to monitor the populace at large for its own good, because it's for your own good that the government is over your shoulder watching you all the time.
Clause because it is important to shield children from this adult material. Yeah, same stuff we've heard from the UK and Australia, from the EU. You get the point. In contrast, the Mississippi law requires all users to verify their ages before using common social media sites, ranging from Facebook to Nextdoor, a social media site that connects people to their nearby neighbors. In addition to the age verification rule, the Mississippi law requires social media websites to work to prevent children from accessing harmful materials, quote unquote, and prohibits minors from using social media websites such as Instagram and YouTube without parental consent. NetChoice, a tech industry association committed to protecting online freedom, sued, arguing that the law unconstitutionally restricts 9 of its member websites, including those mentioned above: Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, Nextdoor, and YouTube. NetChoice argued that the
with the YouTube one, wait, remind me, how old do you need to be to use Facebook and Instagram? Like, do Facebook and Instagram by themselves? Is it 13 to have a Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube account? 16? Okay, 16. 13 with parents' permission. Yeah, Zeb, believe it or not, Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, and YouTube actually do have a minimum age. There is. It's 13 for their TOS. Okay. They actually do have minimum age, but again, there's no checks in place to determine if when the person is signing up for it, that they actually are of age, particularly for receiving content for someone that's over 18. And I was thinking about this, it's like, honestly, there's a way this could be done that might be less intrusive. And that would basically be if you basically through like a 2FA system, where to basically determine if you're an adult, is to basically have like a 2FA system set up where, and I'm blanking on the terminology, but it's basically someone in chat can help me out, where your information on server side can't be viewed by anyone. It's like 0-something protection. Someone help me out. I am blanking on the name. Like on the terms, not zero trust. How fuck? I can't believe I'm forgetting about this. Anyway, I'll describe. It's like basically some like cloud services have some cloud services have a system in place where when you upload, maybe it's zero trust, maybe that's at Giggle Fingers, I don't know, but it's basically like some cloud services where when you upload your data to a cloud service, even the people that are even the cloud service company itself does not have access to your data that you store in the cloud. So not only is the data encrypted, but the service can't even, the service itself has zero access to your data. And the only thing I can see that would work is, no, it's not new. This is anti-meme, you're correct. This has been around for a while. And it's like the only way I could see this working in a way that would be protective to the individual is you have essentially a 2FA system where you get like an app on your phone, and if you basically have your credentials or whatever to prove that you're an adult, and it's like the company itself has no access to this data, and then when you go onto a website that requires you to verify your age, it basically sends you a 2FA notification, just like other authentication apps, and you either punch in a code or verify it through the app, and that would allow you on the site, and maybe, that could work in terms of a system. Zero Trust continues user device access request verification. It could be, it might be, like I said, I'm blanking on the term. And I hate the fact that I'm blanking on the term. But something like that in a 2FA style app might work for in terms of accessing social media, signing up for social media or accessing adult websites in a way that, okay, you can have the controls where a child is not going to get access to it, but at the same time, the personal data is not being, there's not as high of a threat to your personal data because it's like, the the company in question has like zero access to your data. Again, it doesn't fix all the problems. Bearing in mind, I'm not saying like, oh, this is how we're going to fix all the problems. I'm just thinking like, this is a way that this could be done where the concerns regarding data breaches of your personal data could be addressed. But again, this also does not delve into how we're getting into governmental monitoring of everything you do. Bear that in mind. It's not addressing that slippery slope that I was talking about earlier. It's something though in terms of data protection.
Law violates the First Amendment's guarantee of free speech without governmental interference. The monitoring and censorship requirements for vague categories of speech, NetChoice argued, limits individuals' access to important information, ranging from university professors' online lectures to statements from political leaders and other creative content. Though it is within...
Yeah, and they're right about, this is the part that I was talking about. Censorship for vague categories of speech and potentially stymieing freedom of speech. If basically you try to access this, they ask for authentication, they say, nope, you can't access this, and therefore you're not able to, therefore freedom of speech is being impinged upon. This is what I was talking about, this slippery slope that is so dangerous.
Parents' interest to protect their children from harmful content, said NetChoice. There are other tools, such as web browser parental controls, that parents can use to regulate their children's online use.
Yes!
A district court agreed with NetChoice, temporarily stopping the Mississippi law from going into effect while proceedings continued in the lower courts. But the conservative Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals lifted the temporary block without addressing whether the law violates the First Amendment. Justice Brett Kavanaugh concurred with the court's order Thursday, but wrote, in short, under this court's case law as it currently stands, the Mississippi law is likely unconstitutional. Nonetheless, because NetChoice has not sufficiently demonstrated that the balance of harms and equities favors it at this time, I concur in the court's denial of the application for interim relief. The Supreme Court refused to...
Wait, hold up. Under this court's case law, as it currently stands, the law is unconstitutional. So Kavanaugh was a dissenting opinion? Is this what I'm seeing? Is that Brett Kavanaugh was a dissenting opinion? It's not something I would have expected. Huh? Maybe his BPM maybe there was an issue with his BPM. Okay.
Blocked the Fifth Circuit's decision, allowing at least temporarily for the Mississippi law to go into effect. Now, despite this going into effect around a week ago, it seems like it kind of flew under the radar with everything else going on, and as you can see, it's really over the last 24 hours or so that people began to talk about this, that it really began to get brought into the public's attention. For example, we've got a post here from only 22 hours ago on our Ask Conservatives from a user with the Flair left wing saying, what are your thoughts on the new Mississippi state law that mandates age verification to use regular services instead of simply for adult content?
Is that what he's saying here? Is that he sees the potential for abuse, but that NetChoice did not do well in presenting their case as to why the law should be struck down. Okay.
Law that mandates age verification to use regular services instead of simply for adult content. And we can see a top response here from a user with the Flair right libertarian conservative saying, it's nanny state nonsense that doesn't really work except to sell VPN services. It's not the worst intention in the world, but parents get the privilege of managing this stuff for their children. We don't need or want the state to get involved. And
well, okay, I'm going to offer a counterpoint for for random username here. And bearing in mind, this is not in agreement with it. I can understand why laws like this are starting to crop up. at least in regards to social media and children. I can understand it because, yes, the argument, like, okay, so you can okay, maybe I was misreading it maybe I was misreading it. Law can be confusing sometimes. Okay. Anyway, uh, yes, there are parental controls that can be used, and arguments about them being circumvented aside, parental controls exist, yet parents are being too lazy to engage those parental controls. So many parents are just letting their kids do whatever the fuck they want, look at whatever the fuck they want. And these parents don't parent, don't talk to their kids, don't engage the parental controls that are available. And so the kids basically do whatever they want. And it is, I think, coming to a head. Well, okay, Felix, when schools give out tablets and laptops and students, the schools have their own lockdowns on them. In my experience, schools that give out tablets and laptops have pretty stringent locks in place that do not allow them to access many websites. And so they basically have schools have their own basically versions of parental controls because those laptops are logged into the kids' school accounts, and the school accounts have their own significant limitations on them. Again, yes, they can be circumvented. We're talking about computers. Literally everything can be circumvented in one way or another. But the schools do have security lockdowns on them, and parents have the option to do the same, but they don't. The parents can put in parental control lockdowns on their kids' devices, but they don't. And because so many don't, it's coming to a point of you can tangibly see social media is affecting kids in a negative way. And if the parents are going to do something when this has become a widespread societal problem, something's got to give. And so the government's saying if the parents are going to do their job, then the government has to. You can either agree or disagree with that, but I can understand why it's come to a head like this. We have social media is basically turning these kids into fucking animals where they're doing batshit insane stunts just for clout. They're beating the fuck out of each other for clout because their buddies are filming it and then they're posting it online. They're doing cyberbullying to the extreme that is causing people to kill themselves. Like, it is coming to a head. And if the parents are not going to do anything, then the government's got to step in. So you can agree with it, you can disagree with it. Regardless of that, you can see in an overarching look of what is happening in society why this might be happening. You can understand the reasoning of why this might actually be happening in this time and place.
Get the privilege of managing this stuff for their children. We don't need or want the state to get involved. And then 22 hours ago, Blue Sky also got involved, saying, unfortunately, Blue Sky is unavailable in Mississippi right now due to a new state law that requires age verification for all users.
Okay, I see this as an absolute win. Blue Sky is a fucking cesspool right now. Blue Sky is probably as bad or worse than Twitter. So I see this as an absolute win for Mississippi. That Blue Sky has been blocked there. I see no issue with this.
While intended for child safety, we think this law poses broader challenges and creates significant barriers that limit free speech and harm smaller platforms like ours. With legal challenges to this law pending, we cannot justify building the expensive required infrastructure. For now, we have made the difficult decision to block access in Mississippi. To learn more, read our blog post. However, other people would respond to Blue Sky pointing out that they capitulated to the UK's Online Safety Act. For example, this headline from The Verge titled, Blue Sky is rolling out age verification in the UK. Another user posting the screenshot, which seems to be the age verification that they got hit with, or at least a screenshot of someone getting hit with over on Blue Sky that reads, "Verify your age. We have partnered with KWS to verify that you're an adult. When you click begin below, KWS will check if you have previously verified your age using this email address for other games/services powered by KWS technology. If not, KWS will email you instructions for verifying your age. When you're done, you'll be brought back to continue using Blue Sky. This should only take a few minutes. Your email. Use your account email address or another real email address you control in case KWS or Blue Sky needs to contact you. Preferred language, begin, and then a disclaimer about the terms of service and all that." And indeed, over on the subreddit for Blue Sky Social, we have seen posts like,
well, Brian, the appeal for Blue Sky is that people, essentially the extremely left-leaning people on Twitter felt like they were getting bullied by the right-leaning people on Twitter. And so Blue Sky was like, okay, that's not the official reason. The official reason is Blue Sky is supposed to be, as Zeb said, more moderation and less bots. That was the official reason why Blue Sky got created. The not official reason is basically it's an echo chamber for essentially leftist, like extreme leftist people to and scream and not get dogpiled for their bullshit by people on the right. That's the unofficial reason why Blue Sky exists.
This during the rollout of the UK's Online Safety Act, for example, 1 month ago, this post titled "UK Age Verification Troubles." As of recently, social media sites require a proof of age to access certain parts of the site. It's a face scan or your card info, but both are bouncing for me, and there's no third option. I can't even contact anyone for assistance. Is there anyone I can reach out to?
Oh.
I thought they would have something better than guesstimating in card info. Someone else said, "Word of advice, just use a stock support image of an old man. It literally works. The system is beyond messed up." But someone else said, "Have you actually tried this? Because I've had people say they tried and it was rejected, and or they were asked to also provide side-on footage." This other response talking about the whole like Death Stranding meme thing, which was pretty funny, but I guess for some people it didn't work out as well as it did for others.
Well, see, here's the downside of social media in this case. With the Death Stranding thing or the fake photos that people were using to bypass the age restriction, once this went viral on social media of people showing, hey, I bypassed this with Death Stranding, the companies could roll out a patch and say, okay, this is a patch to keep it from working anymore. Like, this is why, okay, I'm going to post this to the internet. If you find a workaround for the age verification, don't fucking broadcast it to the internet, because the second it goes viral, these companies are going to know about it and they'll roll a patch out to patch that problem, and then your workaround don't work no more. You know?
Apparently, as this comment reads, "Going through the exact same thing, and it won't even let me use Death Stranding or stock photos as an alternative. It keeps picking up that it isn't real face. Got in contact with Blue Sky support, who were useless, said they couldn't do anything and just referred me to KWS support. But KWS told me that they don't have anything to do with Blue Sky's age verification, which is a blatant lie, before telling me to get in contact with Blue Sky again instead. Honestly, what a freaking joke of a system." Hopping over to PCMag.com, they do...
There's the problem. This system the system's in its infancy. It's going to be bugged as fuck. And how many people that are legitimately trying to access these sites won't be able to, because the system fucks up and says, "Oh, we can't verify you. Sorry, sucks to be you." And now they can't access a site that, who knows, maybe it's a site that they need to access for whatever reason. I'm not talking about social media or porn. I'm talking about a site that has been deemed as you need to be an adult to access it. And the age verification fucks up. Because what do you want up that? It's AI that's running these age verification software. And we all know how good the fucking AI is. What happens if you're basically just bouncing back and forth between companies, and now you can't access something that you need to access, and you're legitimately trying to access it for legit purposes, and you are a legit adult?
seem a bit more hopeful that this may actually get overturned, as NPR was kind of alluding to that potential conclusion when we read their article, but PC Mag elaborates on that further in this paragraph where they say, Net Choice is leaning on that last line. Quote, although we're disappointed with the court's decision, Justice Kavanaugh's concurrence makes clear that Net Choice will ultimately succeed in defending the First Amendment. Not just in this case, but across all Net Choice's ID for speech lawsuits, says Paul Task, co-director of the Net Choice Litigation Center, saying this is merely an unfortunate procedural delay. They then go on to provide further information about this law, saying the Mississippi law is named after Walker Montgomery, a teenager who took his own life following an Instagram sextortion scam that demanded payment in exchange for not posting intimate material of him online. These types of schemes are on the rise, especially among young boys, and the law is intended to prevent kids from encountering bad actors on the hunt for a payday. Now, obviously, this is a tragic and terrible thing. However, hate to say, but it seems like Mississippi is really just using this law to try and enact these regulations on people, similarly to what we've seen elsewhere in the world, except they're specifically using this young man and the terrible thing that happened to try and justify this, which, if anything, I would say is actually insulting to him. Yeah, it's a shame that he's being used to try and justify this by the Mississippi government. But
yeah, and Yard Dog, that's just it. And that's where the fear with what's happening with Roblox, and similar to what's happened with Walker Montgomery, similarly with what happened to him, while they're basically using him as a sledgehammer for this law, that's why people are worried about the Roblox thing, because people are worried that states are going to see this thing with Roblox, and they're going to use that as a cudgel to try and put through all of these laws, these various ID laws, under the auspice of for the kids using Roblox as their example. It's like, as Legal Mindset said, these things need to be examined with a scalpel and not with a sledgehammer.
Yeah, it's a shame that he's being used to try and justify this by the Mississippi government. But let me know what you think about all this stuff in the comments, and thank you for tuning in. Hope you have a great rest of your weekend. I look forward to seeing you here in the comments and in the next one. Oh yeah, and if you like this coverage, consider liking and subscribing too. That would be much appreciated.
So, yeah, it's the slippery slope thing. We knew about Texas's porn thing, but the social media thing, again, not a bad thing to keep kids off of social media. I don't disagree with that. The problem is how much of a slippery slope this is going to become, and how this is going to basically do just like in the UK, where it goes from, oh, we're just protecting the children, to we want to monitor literally everything you do, and becomes a literal nanny state. That's the concern. And right now, the checks and balances against that are not in place. They're not in place to make it justifiable.